Hello, I'm Jared, and I'm an old friend of Aaron's from university. He mentioned that you guys were going to be doing a career day pretty soon, talking a little bit about different career paths, and some of you were interested in hearing about a possible career in computer science, maybe programming. So I'll tell you a little bit about my career in programming, a little bit about what I've learned over the years, what it would be like for you, hiring process, best things to learn, some of that. I've been a programmer now for going on 9 years, coming out of school, maybe close to 10, and I've worked in a lot of different areas since I came out of school. I've learned a lot in that time about different aspects of the industry and what you're looking for. So let's sort of start at the beginning. When you go into university for a computer science degree, what they're going to focus on more than anything else are the fundamentals. They're going to focus on algorithms. They're going to focus on knowing how programming languages are constructed. They're going to focus on the mathematical underpinnings of computer science and how to program. All of that is really important. However, it's usually not what most programmers use day in and day out on their jobs. So the types of skills that you end up needing day in and day out on your job include knowing how to work with source control. That helps you so that multiple people can edit the same file without having conflicts or problems, and so that you can track all of the edits in case something goes wrong with it. Knowing how to interact with different people who have different needs. So knowing how to interact with the user experience designers, knowing how to interact with the graphics designers, the architects who are laying out the high scale structure for how to program, the testers, knowing how to work with all of these different areas, knowing how to interact with customers so that you can get feedback to develop quality programs. These are just some of the things that you're going to really need to know when you get into the field, and probably areas that your university isn't going to focus on that much. So given that you're probably not going to cover source control that much, you're probably not going to cover how to interact with people that much. In fact, you probably won't even cover how to build customer-centric programs because you're focusing on fundamentals, so a lot of your programs aren't really customer-centric style programs. What can you do to learn these skills on your own outside of school? There's a lot of different options for you. You have a lot of ways to learn online now. There's a lot of places that offer classes, courses, tutorials to teach you how to do that. I think that's an excellent set of options. Another very popular option, and I would highly recommend it, is if you start programming, find some open source project. Open source means you're going to have access to the source code for it, and you would be able to work with it. Find an open source project that you like, and see if there's a way you can contribute back. See if there's a way you can learn a little bit about it and maybe write a little bit of code for them. That's going to teach you how to work on a large team, how to work with existing code bases, things that you're probably not going to cover in school on your own. Some other options: never discount internships. That's one of the best ways to gain that real-world experience, hand-on experience. And one that's sort of a hybrid, a learn-on-your-own model, but what's become really popular lately to teach people who maybe had a different degree how to program have been these code schools. They take people who know nothing about programming, and in maybe 12 weeks or so, they teach them the basics of how to be a programmer. Since they're focused on careers and not on fundamentals like the university, they're really going to be focused on all of those practical aspects. So if you're trying to do some learning on your own, you might go try and find some of the websites for these code schools and see if they post their curriculum or their lesson plan online, because that would be a great way for you to get a feel for what you need to know coming out of school so that you can get a job or have a company really think that you have the skills that they're looking for. So let's say you've done all of that, you're coming out of school, and you're ready to go find your first job. What does the hiring process look like in the computer science field? Really, it varies a lot by company. Some companies focus more on personality, whether you fit well with the team, and they assume that if you did well enough in school, you're going to be able to learn whatever you need to know to succeed in that company. Other companies are very interested in your programming technical skills, specific language knowledge, and what you can do. And then you've got a lot of companies that are interested in your general problem-solving skills, and they're going to try and ask you problem-solving questions that aren't tied to any specific programming languages. So that might include puzzles to try and help you watch you think through how you're going to solve a problem that you don't already know the solution to. I highly recommend, if you can, getting some practice at interviews. So finding some opportunities to do mock interviews, see if any companies do any mock interview programs or anything like that. I've worked with some of my companies in the past to participate in these mock interviews with university students so that they get a little bit of experience with interviewing. I give them some feedback, and we get experience on or information about upcoming computer science graduates as well. Once you're in the field, you've got a job, then you're probably going to take one of two paths. Heading down your career, you're either probably going to be a generalist, which means you're going to work with a lot of different technologies and know a little bit about all of them, or you're going to become a specialist and really specialize in one technology. And even within that, there's a lot of different areas that you can work in coming with a computer science degree. You can be a tester and writing automated testing or structure like that. You can go into design and help design the user interface or the user experience. You can be an architect and be laying out the high-scale structure of how all the different blocks and pieces of a program go together. You could just be a programmer working the line-by-line code, optimizing it, making it efficient, coming up with great ways to make it mesh together seamlessly. So there's a broad variety of options for you coming out of school with a computer science degree. One last area I want to touch on is things that you may overlook coming out of school, or things that you may not know about being a programmer, computer science degree, stuff like that. First one would be that your social skills are incredibly important. A lot of times you're thinking a programmer, that's someone who maybe doesn't have strong social skills. That's not necessarily true. You definitely need strong social skills because you're going to be interacting with a lot of different people, figuring out how to take some requirements and produce a product out of those requirements. That requires understanding, listening skills, the ability to translate and work with someone, and the ability to bring your content back to them and sort of sell it to them and convince them that it's what they're looking for. Another thing that probably is a common misconception is that as a programmer, you spend all or even most of your time writing code. That's not true at all. I probably spend a quarter of my time, maybe up to 50% writing code. The rest of my time is spent planning, designing, learning about what I am going to write, so figuring out how I'm going to put stuff together, meetings, business. A lot of different process goes around it. So you're not spending a large chunk of your time writing code, even if that's your day-to-day job responsibility and the most important thing that you're accomplishing. I hope that this gave you a little bit of insight into computer science, both as a field of study and as a career. And I hope that you guys are able to make great choices and learn a lot about the different options available to you during your career day.